about both of these players because I do think they're both going to get drafted. Sean Dolak's pro day surprised me and a few other people. I texted a couple scouts. They said they didn't see. Didn't he run in the 4.6s, I think?
Yeah, I got to look
somewhere
at it
in the
exactly.
4.6s. He doesn't necessarily look that fast on film.
Yep.
We're going to stay on the comparison route here just to give you a visual or just to be able to visualize. He reminds me a lot of Chris Borland, who's the player that was for the 49ers, the linebacker out of Wisconsin. He retired really early, like in 2016 or 2017. He was worried about concussions. But Sean Dolak does
4.55 unofficial.
4.55 unofficial. Okay, so that's a lot faster than I think he looks on film. But the numbers are the numbers. His vertical, I believe, was 35 inches, right? 35 and a half?
35 and a half and 25 reps.
Yeah, so he does everything well. And now I think last week we talked about what does a pro day do for a Jalen Milroe? Not much. For Sean Dolak, that's what he needed to prove to scouts because everything from how reliable of a tackler he is, stacking and shedding blocks, making plays in coverage. We certainly saw him intercept the ball this past season at UB. He, I think, is a day 3 pick, but can be that player who outplays his draft position. In terms of Oronde Gadsden, very smart for him to go from receiver to tight end because at receiver, he would be low level in terms of he's kind of stiff. He's not going to create separation. At tight end, my comparison for him is Logan Thomas, who played for the Bills, former quarterback turned tight end. If you look at their combine workouts, their size profiles, very similar. Oronde Gadsden clearly can run all the routes. He did it at receiver at Syracuse, plays above the rim like that big rebounder. He's not going to give you a lot after the catch, but you're right. That is the modern-day NFL tight end where you're kind of a big slot receiver. Use your body down the seam, and I think Oronde Gadsden made a good choice to move to tight end for his final season at Syracuse.
Football guys, Oronde Gadsden, Michael Mayer.
Wow.
Oh, that's a big one.
That's flattering.
That is
Very
flattering. That is flattering.
Kyle McCord, Cooper Rush.
Wow. Okay.
Okay.
You know, it's just one site.
Yeah.
One of many. It's not even yours. Why am I even doing this?
No, it's all right.
Very quickly, speaking of local, just so I don't know if you're aware, but I'll let the listeners know. Will Johnson has family here in Buffalo.
I've heard that.
Will Johnson has family here in Buffalo.
Oh, aunt and uncle from
Yeah.
Is
So
that right?
I yes, cousin, I believe. Aunt, uncle, and cousins. But
okay.
I'm friends with his cousin actually, and that would be a kind of guy that I would love to see in Buffalo, obviously. But he's going to be going too high, I think.
29 today on Chris's mock draft.
Oh wow! I didn't realize that.
Okay, so here's the deal with him. Could he be like the Jaguars pick 5th? Could he be like the 5th or 6th overall pick? Sure. Post-combine and at the combine, and I'm trying to confirm this with a few people in the league that I know that are in the scouting community, not as the league, quote-unquote, and all it takes is one team, but the league is a little bit lower on him in that his final season, he gets injured. We have Savon Revel from East Carolina, Benjamin Morrison from Notre Dame, same deal. Gets injured in like October. And when you watch the film in 24 from Will Johnson coming into the season as like, is this the next Patrick Surtain? Is he going to be, a top 10 pick? The tackling was bad, and then when it wasn't bad, he was like not trying to tackle on the outside where there was that business decision phrase being thrown out. Now, in coverage, zone ability, man coverage ability, has the length, not quite as long of arms as people expected. Is all of these things put together could be why he could be, maybe he doesn't get to 30, but again, could be that trade-up type player because at a young age at Michigan, Will Johnson looked like a future top half of the first-round pick.
This mock trade you have today, the Bills going from 30 to 24, what does that cost? Maybe they're second, but they get a 4th back or something like that.
Yeah, I don't think I did that exactly, but it seems like that's what's more in trend today is that type of parameter to like have a pick swap later. I think I went with like the Bills 4th and like a 2026 3rd, something in that range. But you're right. What we have mostly seen, no, not cheap. Mostly we have seen, though, that like you trade your second and you get back a 4th or a 5th round pick.
You can see Chris's mock draft, cbssports.com. Tons of draft content there. Pete Prisco, who was on earlier on the station as well. We're at Roswell Park, the Ride for Roswell kickoff event today. The ride is almost exactly 3 months away, June 27th and 28th. It's the 30th anniversary of the Ride for Roswell. And I know they've brought back a lot of things that people have loved over the years, some of the different features. There's a 4-mile river route you can take, and then there's a 100-mile country route. I think I'd be the 4.
What
more
about
than
Bulldog,
100. Bulldog comes in like 30, I think. He's sort of 30, 40. Respectable.
Oh,
It's
yeah.
all
No,
respectable,
that's
but-
very respectable, yeah.
So there's a 44-mile Canada route as well. I can't ever just decide route or route, but I think you know what I mean there.
It feels like route when you're saying about
Canada.
a bike, but when you're that too. But when you're talking about football, you say route. You never say
Route
he runs good routes, right?
That's
Route
true.
runner. That's right.
Yeah, routes.
Route runner sounds better.
Yeah.
RideForRoswell.org to learn more. We'll have a couple of guests from Roswell Park on in the second half of the show. First, more with Chris Trapasso here from Roswell after a break. Mike Schopp, Sal Capaccio. This is WGR.
Got something to say? Say it anytime. Call, tweet, or text when you want, or hit us up with your comments on Facebook or WGR550.com. Say what you want when you want with WGR Sports Radio 550.
For great deals, visit your local Upstate Honda dealer today.
Hi, this is Matt Schultz from TRS Heating and Air Conditioning. As a family-run business, we take pride in our team, and right now, we're growing. We're looking for a warehouse coordinator to help manage our new West Seneca facility. This role is essential to keeping our operations running smoothly, and we need someone reliable and organized to join our family. We're also hiring a skilled electrician for residential and light commercial projects. If you have experience with panel replacements, fixture installations, or whole home generators, I'd love to talk to you. At TRS, we've hired people right out of high school, and they stay with us for 10, 15, even 30 years. And that's because we believe in taking
Chris Trapasso with us for a few more minutes. Sal Capaccio with me. Mike Schopp. Bulldog is away. It's the Ride for Roswell kickoff event today. Tomorrow, opening day. Pat Malacaro will join me. Bison's broadcaster. First Bison's game is Friday at home, and hopefully it's warmer than this.
I'll be there.
Good.
We are going.
Bring the heat.
We are going, and that's exactly what I said. I think
it's got to be a little bit warmer than
I
today.
hope it's a little bit warmer. I don't think it will be. I just hope it isn't rained out. There's supposed to be some rain on Friday.
19, and everybody knows this. This is our weather in March and April. 1994, I was hired to be the public address announcer for the Rochester Red Wings. Super excited to do it. I couldn't believe it. 22 years old, here I'm going to do this. Opening day AAA, packed state. As long as it's decent out, everybody celebrates the return of the season. Great crowd. Might have been 80 degrees and sunny for this game. Never forget the teams lined up. I'm calling their names, Rochester, Ottawa, right? 80 degrees, perfect day, packed house. Next day, a Saturday, I think, Friday, Saturday, 38.
That is
nobody's there. Nobody's there. Silver Stadium. Nobody's there, and a giant piece of aluminum siding flew off of the top, like the roof, such as it was in Silver Stadium, and started flying toward the field. And like this is gonna be bad. Like this is a giant piece of aluminum flying toward the dugout in the field. Somehow, because probably so few people were there, like nobody was injured by this, mass from the sky.
That is fake spring into back to winter, like we get March and April in this area.
That's
sure.
it. We're talking about the draft every week. We never do tight ends because the Bills have them all. Will they possibly draft a tight end here? I mean, I guess I would doubt it. But it's an interesting year at that position.
Yeah, it's very deep. I mean, Ty Warren is the headliner from Penn State. He had over 100 catches. Was just telling Schopp off air. I think a little bit of that is phony. Like he's not a Brock Bowers type that set the tight end rookie record that could get open. That was so good after the catch. Ty Warren is not quite as big as they had him listed. He has shorter arms and smaller hands than they had listed, and a lot of his production was schemed open. He was the true backbone of the Penn State offense. But the class in and of itself, with Terrence Ferguson from Oregon, who's a really good prospect, Mason Taylor, Jason Taylor's son, who we were talking about, quality player, Elijah Arroyo from Miami. I don't know if we'll get like a record amount of tight ends picked, but there will be more than normal picked, say, in the first 4 or 5 rounds.
Do you know what team absolutely desperately needs a tight end, maybe more than any team in the league?
Patriots?
The New York Jets.
Oh, the Jets.
Who's the Jets tight end?
It's not.
Conklin went to the Chargers. I might have said the Chargers.
It's not Herndon anymore, is it?
Nope. I'm going to tell you who's on their depth chart.
Tyree.
Jeremy Ruckert is their number one tight end.
Whoa.
Stone Smart is their number 2 tight end.
That's it. So they're going to probably pick 1 or 2.
So I've seen.
Could that be Warren?
That's right. I've
seen
seen
Warren
that
at
mocked
7.
to them quite a bit.
Okay, interesting.
Conklin signed with the Chargers maybe yesterday, and Loveland, tight end from Michigan, is a popular mock pick to the Chargers because of Harbaugh.
Yeah.
And they have a need at that position too. Who do you like for them? Is that where you would go, or do you like maybe a receiver, someone else?
Skill position, I think, makes the most sense. I mean, Ladd McConkey was so good for them as a rookie, but it is still a receiver room and a tight end room that is not that formidable relative to the rest of the NFL or even the AFC, especially when you have Justin Herbert at quarterback. That Colston Loveland, I just feel like that's going to be the one. Don't overthink it. Like the connection with Jim Harbaugh. He's a tight end. He can block a little bit, but is a quality wide receiver at tight end.
Mike, the Bills do need another depth tight end to block, and his name should be Quentin Morris, to be quite honest. I mean,
he's still floating around,
he's still a UFA. He was an RFA. They didn't tender him because the money was too high.
He visited somewhere,
He visited the Lions.
Didn't sign.
If he's still out there, I would think that's exactly what they need.
Harold Fannin, before you go, polarizing, great production, but questions about his athleticism.
I think he's a pretty good athlete, and if I remember correctly, he did test. I don't think he did a full workout in Indy, but tested pretty well. Ran, I think, 4.71, not crazy fast. The thing that I actually talked with a lot of other draft analysts and scouts about at the Combine, watch him run. It's like he's knock-kneed, and he has a very strange gait when he's running. So I think that's what could lead to an idea that he's not athletic. But, yes, we've seen from the MAC, you can be a big-time producer and transition to the NFL pretty quickly.
Luther Fannin out of Bowling Green. Thank you, Chris. Great to see you.
Thanks for having me, guys. This is fun.
And
thanks for coming, buddy.
Giving us the extra time. We'll have the update and talk some more here from the Ride for Roswell kickoff event. You can join Sal and me at 803-0550. The draft schedule, come on, and Diggs. We haven't even talked about Diggs yet in 2 hours. Mm-hmm. That's kind of amazing, but the draft conversation has been flowing. Back after the update, as I said, Mike Schopp here with Sal. This is WGR.
Bills. A sports update.
The New York Giants have officially signed quarterback Russell Wilson to a one-year deal that is worth up to $21 million. $10.5 million of that is guaranteed. We are also waiting on official announcement of former Bills wide receiver Stephon Diggs becoming a New England Patriot. His reported deal is a 3-year, $69 million deal with $26 million guaranteed. Diggs, of course, did spend last year with the Houston Texans after being traded there from the Buffalo Bills. We also had some quarterback news today. Miami Hurricanes QB Cam Ward reportedly having another private workout with a team in the top 5 of the NFL draft. This today, it is the Cleveland Browns who hold the number 2 pick. Yesterday was the Tennessee Titans, and then today the Titans did sign a quarterback. It is Tim Boyle. We also had the competition committee announce a number of proposed rule changes today that are going to be voted on next Tuesday, April 1st, at the NFL owners meeting. Those do include a number of rule changes on the kickoffs. Touchback being moved to the 35-yard line instead of the 30, and onside kicks happening at any time if a team is trailing. Again, those are just proposals, and among others, they will be voted on next Tuesday. For the Sabres, they are off today. They got a win yesterday against Ottawa, thus giving head coach Lindy Ruff 600 career wins. The Sabres are next in action tomorrow at home against Pittsburgh. And then in the NHL, very light night tonight, just 4 games. 2 at 7:30. Devils are in Chicago versus the Blackhawks, while the Islanders are going to host the Vancouver Canucks. And then at 10, the Oilers have the Stars in town, and the Bruins, they're out west against the Anaheim Ducks. That's Paddock Chevrolet Sports Update. Paddock Chevrolet celebrating 90 years of business. I'm Zach Jones for WGR Sports Radio 550.
It's Mike Schopp.
It's nothing you did.
It's not you, it's me.
It's not you. It's you, but you didn't cross me.
And the Bulldog.
Why did I choose? Why did I just stay in school?
On WGR Sports Radio 550.
I can't let this wait. It's being told to me that instead of Harold Fannin, I referred to the Bowling Green tight end as Luther Fannin. So, 6 letters and all. But that's my grandfather's name.
Which is?
Luther Fannin is my grandfather. My mom texted me, and she's like, I think I heard you say, Dad's name.
That's really his full name.
Yes,
Luther
that's my
Fannin?
grandfather's name.
Okay.
So Harold Fannin has been kind of fun, but I may have referred to the Bowling Green tight end as my grandfather, who, he's got the size. I don't know about athleticism at 93, but, there's no perfect prospect. There's no perfect prospect, right, Sal? Sal, when are we going to talk about the schedule? Now?
I've been waiting this whole time.
I know.
And
you've been so nice about
during the Roswell rollout, right? Remember we were talking about kickoff, tip-off?
Yep,
Somebody said call it a rollout.
Sure.
Definitely.
Fine.
It's a kickoff party here, rollout, whatever you want to call it, for the Ride for Roswell. That's where we are today on Schopp and the Bulldog. And I've been sitting here talking draft in the back of my head going, get to the schedule, darn it.
All right.
Get to the darn schedule,
I
Mike.
hate to be pushy. Okay, so do you want to start with your Rodgers thing?
Yeah, I do. I think this is really interesting. So the Steelers are the home team in Dublin, Ireland in 2025. We know that. The NFL has said that. It's confirmed. When that was announced, there were several reports that said the Packers were most likely going to be their opponent. But that was never confirmed. We are now probably 2 months or so, maybe more, since then. I have since, over the last month or so, I've alluded to this, I've heard rumors about the Bills being very much in the mix to be that team, for whatever reason. But no one seems to be able to confirm anything on this front. Here is where I think this gets interesting. I don't think the league wants to put Josh Allen against the Pittsburgh Steelers at 9:30 a.m. on a Sunday morning, when they could get way more traction out of that from a primetime game, a Black Friday game, a Thanksgiving game, whatever. However, I don't think that the NFL is going to put Aaron Rodgers against the Green Bay Packers
In Ireland.
In Ireland at 9:30 a.m., which gets me back to it would more likely be the Bills in that case if Aaron Rodgers signs with the Steelers.
It could be somebody else,
It
too,
could totally
right?
be somebody else. Yes.
Minnesota, Miami, Indianapolis, Seattle.
It's not going to be Miami. They're already going over somewhere else.
Cross that off, everybody. Minnesota, Indianapolis, Seattle.
Not going to be Indianapolis. They're already going over.
Minnesota, Seattle, or a division team. Or the Bills or the Packers.
See, that's why I'm saying, and I had heard some rumors that the Bills were very much like in this mix to be the team going to Ireland.
You know what? The Steelers can stop it. They're the new Bears. Maybe the Bears are still the Bears. But, for whatever huge market in Chicago, the Steelers have this clout, this status as like, you're going to want to watch them in prime time. No, we don't. That's over. Even if Rodgers makes it worse. Even if it is Rodgers. Put all their games on at 9:30 in the morning. Pittsburgh.
In Pittsburgh.
Put them all in every game they played. Fine. They don't need the edge there, but okay, so what do? Prime time week 1 is the traditional schedule discussion.
Sure.
Philadelphia will host. There's no baseball game or anything, is there? Philadelphia will host Thursday night football week 1, and there are good options here as the Super Bowl winner, if I need to say it. Dallas, Giants, Washington. Giants, no. Dallas can always be the choice. Washington's great. NFC Championship, huge markets. Washington works. We had a AFC Championship rematch last year in that slot, Baltimore, Kansas City. So they've done that. Chicago, Denver, Detroit. Boy, this site, the NFL site, why do they do it alphabetically? It doesn't even make sense. It's not alphabetical. It just happens to be by coincidence. Chicago and Detroit, the Rams, then Denver and Vegas from the AFC. Who do you like? Could it? Detroit make sense? Rams make sense? I doubt the Bears. Detroit, Rams, or Washington? Who do you want to put there?
I think Washington makes a ton of sense. But I did some research on this. Since they've gone to this Thursday night opener, it hasn't been a division game in like over a decade, I think.
Dallas Giants was it once.
Yes, and that was 2011, 2012, somewhere in there. That was it.
When the Giants won.
So they don't really put a division game there. So I'm going to kind of bank on that for a minute. I think the Rams are a very likely opponent. They played them in the playoffs. It's a rematch.
Are they good enough?
I don't know.
Devontae Adams.
Boy, the Bears would be super.
Detroit's great.
Yeah.
It can't be the Bears. You don't want it to be a game where the Eagles are favored by more than a touchdown.
What were the Chiefs favored by over the Lions a couple years ago?
7.5, maybe. Yeah, it was about. That's the limit.
Right.
And they won. Detroit won.
Yeah, Detroit fits here. Detroit totally fits to be the team. I still think a team like the Bears with new coach, a lot of buzz, Caleb Williams. We'll see what they do in the draft. I think a team like that, a big market, is also just in play because of a lot of those reasons.
I like Washington more.
Okay.
I think Detroit's good for this. I think
you don't
Washington's
care about the division
better.
part?
Not really.
Okay.
I mean, it has it all. Markets, Jaden Daniels, they're a hot item, Washington, right?
I agree. Yes.
So, all right. Well, that's the opener. Sunday night. Now, this could be anything.
Well, wait a minute. Is there a Friday night game overseas?
Oh, is there? Well, that could be anything, too. Are we back in Brazil?
No, I think they're in Spain. It might be Miami, right? Is that what that is? I think it could be. I have to look at this and see. I thought the NFL was playing maybe in Spain that Friday night, but we could skip that and say maybe it is, maybe it isn't. I don't know. I have to look and see. But
Yeah,
I think they're doing
the
that
second.
again.
I mean, would you agree? The second biggest one of these games is the Sunday night game.
Yes.
Not a Friday night.
100%, yes.
The Friday night is more for the international aspect of it. And it was Green Bay, Philadelphia. It's a good matchup, good game. Field was terrible last year. You come to expect that. So the Sunday night game is like next to Thursday night. Thursday night has to be the Super Bowl winner. Sunday night, who do you want to see? Are the Bills a candidate? The Bills would be a candidate. The Chiefs would be a candidate.
I think the Bills are a very strong candidate to be a Sunday night game to open the season.
Mm-hmm.
I think it would most likely be a home game and not an away game, considering their opponents.
Chiefs. Bengals, Ravens.
Going back to what you asked me the other day about how many of those games would be 1 o'clock Sunday, probably not any of them, maybe one. So one of them maybe goes to the Sunday night primetime slot if you're going to do it for week 1.
The road games don't cut it. Houston is the best of the road games, other than,
Right.
I mean, maybe including division, but at least either way, Houston, that's not Sunday night week 1. Kansas City could get that slot
Yes.
easily. Baltimore could get that slot. Then you have to see who they play. Kansas City has Houston, Washington, Baltimore, Detroit on its home schedule. How about that? Some of the Bills and the Chiefs both have, great non-division home schedules. Kansas City comes here, by the way, if you didn't know.
The apparently, when I'm reading here on CBSSports.com, the game in Spain with the Dolphins, the mayor of Madrid recently revealed the game will be played in November. So that is not that first week Friday night. I thought they were still going to do one that week Friday night, but I'm not positive on that. But I don't believe the game in Dublin will be that. Could it be possibly the game in Berlin? Could that be the Friday night? That's the Colts, by the way.
Oh, well, I don't know. I don't know. I don't know if they are planning on that again. Sunday night. Obviously, you can do anything here, but
I always feel like the Jets or Giants are in the mix here in a primetime game.
Monday.
Yeah, it doesn't have to be. The Giants have been a Sunday night game opener a couple times here recently.
But not when they're so bad, right?
Weren't they Sunday night 2 years ago when the Bills were at the Jets Monday night to open the season with Rodgers? I think the night before was Giants Sunday night.
They were in the playoffs before that.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
Oh, yeah. Who did I forget? I think that's right, though, because it was back-to-back nights.
Yeah,
I think
it was the
that's right.
Cowboys. They crushed them.
Dallas crushed the Giants.
Dallas crushed the Giants.
Okay.
And then the next night, the Bills played in that same stadium.
Okay.
Monday night, and Rodgers got hurt early in the game.
Okay, right. They won anyway.
So, yeah, the Bills could be here. I mean, the Bills have been a early season primetime game the last couple of years. I mean, they could still be, obviously.
Last year, week 2, Thursday night.
You know who I think is
and week 3, Monday night.
I think a sneaky player is the Bengals for a Sunday night opener.
Go on.
A Sunday night game. The Bengals with Joe Burrow, they just re-signed Jamar Chase. They just re-signed T. Higgins. I think there's a lot expected from them. They have a dynamic offense. I think the Bengals are they could be Bengals at Bills.
Man, I guess. Small markets.
Yeah.
Baltimore, Bengals is good. 2 great games last year.
Are you going to how about this? I'll ask you this question then. Thinking of the markets. If you go with Washington, Philly Thursday night, wouldn't you want to maybe go a little more west for Sunday?
I'd love to go west. Sure. Well, the key to this is that we will get it. Ultimately, by talking it out like this,
yes.
we will get it. It just takes a minute, to figure out how the path, right? We will eventually, of course, get to the right answer for this. I don't know. There's no rules, but I feel like market size matters. Quality of the matchup, of course, matters. Kansas City works. Buffalo could work, but I think Kansas City outrates, and then it would be, Ravens again, Detroit again, division.
Last year it was Sunday Night Football opener was Rams at Lions.
Yes, overtime.
That's right.
You love your Rams. You want to get the Rams in here, I can tell.
I think the league loves its Rams on primetime when they can.
Who's more interesting right now, the Rams or the Chargers?
Who's more interesting? The Rams.
How good of a draw are the Chargers at this time?
They're okay. The draw of the Chargers is just 2 people. It's Harbaugh and
Herbert.
That's it.
Pretty ugly playoff loss.
Yeah, the draw of the Rams is their coach, McVay, their quarterback, Stafford, and they got a really good young defense, and they're good. And they came within a possession of beating the Eagles in the playoffs.
How about San Francisco?
San Francisco I think there's an expectation of regression from them coming, even though they had it last year. In fact, let's go off that. They weren't as good last year. What are they going to be this year? I don't know if you want to put them right out there, and they become a team that's maybe less attractive in primetime.
What do you think?
I think they're in for another year of maybe transition. They had a lot of older players they moved on from. It wasn't just last year. It sounds like, their guys are a year older. What's McCaffrey now? Right? What's Kittle? What's going to happen with their receivers? They traded Debo.
Did you see their win total?
No, let me guess. 8.5.
10.5.
Oh, wow. Okay. Wow.
Respectable.
It is.
That came out today from ESPN Bet.
Well, you have it there. You've seen the Giants then, right?
I saw 4.5.
Okay. I saw someone posted they had 3.5. I've never heard of a win total that low.
Me neither.
Especially in a 17-game season.
That's a must-win season for their coach.
I think so.
And their over/under is 4.5 wins. Yeah. How many does he need? 9?
He might need to make the playoffs.
Good luck. No matter Russell Wilson, Jameis Winston, Jackson Dart,
and then host a playoff game as a wild card team against a division champion who had a less record.
Are they going to do that? They're not going to.
It's getting voted on next week.
So on the rule stuff, kickoffs and tush push today, is it as good as done when the competition committee recommends it?
No.
It's not.
It's not.
The owners push back against the competition committee?
Sure. It's a recommendation to put it on the table for the competition committee, but there's been plenty of times where rules have been voted down. One of them that has come up a few times is the 4th and 15 scenario.
The competition committee takes that, they recommend it, and the owners don't approve it.
Right.
All right.
And not everybody on the competition committee has to agree. It's just got to be enough people, right?
Is there a vote?
There's a vote. They put it up there. So it doesn't have to be unanimous. And I think I have to look who's on it this year. Sean McDermott is. But every year there's between 8 to 11 people or something like that. It does change a little bit over the years.
And then the owners vote. And is it 3/4?
I believe so, yeah.
I think that's right.
Yeah. Or 2/3. Might be 3/4. Might be 2/3.
24 to 8.
To have to take a look at that. But this year, I just don't think the banning of the tush push is going to happen. That is one. That was on the table last year. They didn't do it, I believe.
It was recommended?
I think it was. I think it was on the docket. I have to go back and look last year what they voted on, but I just don't see that that's going to happen.
If Washington plays San Francisco and they don't, so never mind. That would be a fun one. Debo. Maybe changing of the guard a little bit.
Okay.
Jaden Daniels, rookie contract, Heisman Trophy, great rookie season. Purdy, is he actually good? Does he get the contract? That'd be an interesting match. But they don't play.
Who is a team that might get a little more primetime love this year than we're used to for whatever reason?
Good question.
I have the AFC standings in front of me.
Denver?
Denver would be a good one.
Are they even interesting, though, anyway?
Are they interesting?
Not really.
I think some people are interested in their quarterback and what he was able to do last year. They have a very fiery personality head coach.
They were in the playoffs.
Personality.
That game was not interesting.
No.
To look forward to and watch.
When they scored a touchdown, that was it. Then the Bills came back and beat them pretty badly.
Never scored again after that. I don't know. I don't think it's Houston. Some of these teams already get
it's Washington,
plenty of credit.
Who didn't have a lot last year, right? But now they're going to. There's no doubt.
Yeah,
Washington's going to be
I think
there.
Washington could contend for the max.
Probably right. Anybody in the AFC?
They just don't play San Francisco.
That we don't normally think of for this? Besides Denver? I think Denver's the only team. I think New England gets an uptick.
I guess.
Not a huge uptick.
I guess. They're over under 7.5. Minus 145 to the over.
But, I think they have some buzz, right? They have a new coach. They're the New England Patriots. They have Drake May. They're going to – how many primetime games did they have last year? I have to go back and look.
Oh, too many.
Last year, they were on primetime a lot?
If they were on once,
Here we go.
Too many.
Yeah, right. One, a Europe game, and that's it. They had a primetime game in Week 3 against the Jets.
Thursday night.
And then it had a Europe game against the Jags in London. That was it.
Right. It was miserable. Both games were.
So I'm going to give them 2 this year. I think they'll have 2 primetime games this year.
Yeah, I'd say at least. Yeah. Do you like them? May? Are you a May guy?
I am. I think they will finish in second place in the AFC East this year.
Okay. And at 8 wins?
Yeah, not a lot. Right. Not challenging the Bills necessarily. Bills still win by 3-4 games, let's say. But I think they win I think they're the second best team by record in the AFC because I just think the Miami Dolphins are, A, on the other side of their arc, and B, I just can't trust them to stay healthy and play games in November and December and be good.
Yeah, Miami, it's almost too easy to sort of, no offense. I mean, it's almost like that's the only season I can imagine.
Yeah.
Where they flash some on offense early and then they hit a wall. Because that's just what has happened here over and over for the Dolphins. I mean, could they – it's hard to imagine them being really good.
Agreed.
And could they be terrible? I mean, maybe they're a little too good to be terrible. So,
and then the Jets, I think, the Jets could be terrible.
The Jets could or should be terrible.
And I don't see their ceiling any more than maybe 500.
Yep. Justin Fields. And a rookie, I would think.
It's a good question, Mike. I mean, where do you take that rookie? There was the guys this morning were talking about the commitment they have to Fields, and does that take them out of the quarterback, drafting a quarterback in the first round? I would say I think Fields takes them out of drafting a quarterback in the first round. I don't think it means they're not going to draft a quarterback in the first couple of days.
That's what I think, too. I think they're a pretty easy fit, Milroe or somebody in round 2.
This goes back to what I was talking. My cousin asked me, he's a Jets fan, about Kyle McCord a lot. He's like, I'll take him in the second or third round. I think, okay, that's the kind of guy they might bring in for a year, sit behind Fields. So Fields is on a 2-year deal, but it's very easily to get out of after 1 year. So, hey, 1 year, let's see how it goes.
We're going to put him on Monday Night Football in Week 1.
Oh, my gosh. Oh, yeah.
The Jets.
Let's do.
We're going to put him on. No, we're going to put him on Thursday Night Football in Week 2.
You think the Bills are like a very likely team for a Sunday night game, Week 1?
No.
Okay.
I never do.
Okay.
And they've never gotten that. I mean, they've gotten close. They had the opener at the Rams. I didn't think that was going to happen, and it did.
Yep.
And then Week 2 last year, which is very different, but they were on, and 3. Weeks 2 and 3 there. And 4. They were on at night. Baltimore.
Yeah, that's right.
Dolphins, Jacksonville, Baltimore. They were on 3 of the first 4 games, but now Week 1.
And 6. They were to the Jets.
And 6. That's right. Enough. I'm tired just thinking about it. I'm exhausted waking up the next morning after these night games.
They had so many night games early in the season last year. They had a couple late, but they had a lot early.
Yeah, I mean, is that good or bad?
I don't know.
They got through it.
Yeah. You could always parse it any way you want, right? They got through it. They had a difficult stretch at the end of the year with the teams, but I think the shakiness of the routine of the schedule was a lot different in the early part.
Next segment, we will guess the bye weeks.
What do you think for Monday night here?
Well, I want it to be 2 games, but it hasn't been. It stopped being 2 games.
Ooh.
Look, the Monday night's the hardest one. When Darnold was a rookie, they went Jets-Lions, right? And those teams were not good. That was his first NFL start, and they won big. The Jets, I believe, at Detroit. It could be anything. A New York team. I'd love a doubleheader there, though. Maybe we get the Friday night and 1 Monday, or we get the 2 Mondays.
That could very well be the case.
Sunday night, I think San Francisco is a better candidate than you do. I think Washington for that opener is great. You like Detroit or Chicago there. We will get it. We will get it. We have another month to talk about this constantly and tweet about it. Every rumor. Hey, people like different things.
This Ireland thing with the Steelers and the Bills still hanging out there is something I'm just really interested in.
Yeah, it is something to think about. We are at, if you're wondering, and we haven't said it in a while, what the noise is, we're at Roswell Park today for the Ride for Roswell kickoff event. Pretty good crowd already. People who are riding this year, volunteers, people just donating. I don't mean to say just, all assembling here for this official kickoff party. The Ride for Roswell this year, June 27th and 28th. And you can find out more, and there's a lot to find out at rideforroswell.org. Bulldog is our team captain. My sister is on the team. We have a WGR team taking part in the Ride for Roswell. Bulldog is not here to enjoy this, but he is the captain of the team. He's a good captain. He's a captain type. You draft somebody in hockey, and they tell you he's a captain type. Bulldog is a captain type. Would you agree?
Yes.
You're not going to say no.
Of course.
He is a leader. type. He's a captain type.
Everybody needs a player like that on their team.
Yes, everybody needs a Bulldog. 803-0550 if you want to call in. We're expecting a couple of guests from Roswell to stop by. It's busy in here. Mike Schopp with Sal Capaccio. Thanks for listening. This is WGR.
We know you.
The New York Giants have officially signed quarterback Russell Wilson to his one-year deal that is worth up to $21 million. $10.5 million of that is guaranteed. We are still waiting to see if Bills wide receiver Stephon Diggs will in fact be joining the New England Patriots. No signs that he won't. It is a reported 3-year, $69 million deal with $26 million of that guaranteed. Miami Hurricanes quarterback Cam Ward reportedly having another private workout with a team in the top 5 of this year's draft. Yesterday was the Tennessee Titans, who have the number 1 overall pick. Today it is the Cleveland Browns, who hold the number 2 overall pick in this year's draft. And the NFL Competition Committee also announced a number of proposed rule changes that will be voted on next Tuesday, April 1st, at the NFL's owners meeting. And those do include a number involving the kickoffs. And those include a touchback going from the 35-yard line instead of the 30. And onside kicks can happen at any time if a team is trailing. Again, these are proposals, and they will be voted on next Tuesday. Sabres are off today after getting a win yesterday against Ottawa. It was Lindy Ruff's 600th career win. The Sabres are next in action tomorrow night at home against Pittsburgh. And then in the NHL, very light night tonight, just 4 games. 2 at 7:30. The Devils are in Chicago versus the Blackhawks, and the Islanders, they host the Vancouver Canucks. While at 10, the Oilers have the Stars in town, and the Bruins, they are out west to take on the Anaheim Ducks. It's your Paddock Chevrolet Sports Headlines. Paddock Chevrolet celebrating 90 years of business. I'm Zach Jones for WGR Sports Radio 550.
We continue from Roswell Park. It is contest time. Be caller 5 at 716-221-4WGR. That's 4947 to win a pair of tickets to see Disturbed with Daughtry and Nothing More at KeyBank Center a week from Friday, April 4th, courtesy of Live Nation. Get your tickets at Ticketmaster.com. Dr. Johnson, I think you'd be eligible to win. I mean, you technically don't work for us, but it's good. You don't get on that caller 5 thing right away.
Yeah,
it's already
you're
too
done.
Late.
Yeah, I know.
She does have the 7-second delay advantage, though, Sal.
Yeah, for sure.
She heard it live.
Yeah, no doubt.
Live. So
it's just awesome.
Get my phone out. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks for joining us. This is great.
Oh, it's wonderful. Thank you for being here.
Dr. Candace Johnson, yes, our pleasure, an honor. Roswell Park Comprehensive Cancer Center President and CEO. The Ride for Roswell, year 30.
Year 30, hard to believe.
And did I see over $80 million has been raised by this event?
By this event. It's our signature event. I mean, can you imagine? We have 8,000 riders. We have over 10,000 volunteers. I mean, it's like a community. Everybody supports us. People get out and ride. And, we've purposely made it so kids can ride. I mean, you can ride 100 miles. You can ride 3 miles. You don't have to raise a gazillion dollars to be able to ride. And a lot of rides at cancer centers have minimums, and they really restrict it. And we don't. We welcome everyone.
So, yeah, I've seen that. When I saw a 4-mile river route, I got excited for a minute. Like, hey, that's something. I do that. I don't go any 100 miles on a bike, but I could in a car maybe. But the 4 miles. So, Mitch Flynn is the founder of this event.
Yes, an amazing man.
What's the origin story?
So, this was his idea. It started, 30 years ago. I wasn't here, but it started as a very small, a couple people getting together to ride, raise some money for Roswell Park. But everybody thought this is kind of a bust. I'm not sure this is going to get legs. And so they just had perseverance to do it and keep doing it. And my goodness, after about 5 or 6 years, we're talking this was a real event.
That's an interesting thing in life, if I may.
It is.
Whether it's a charity or anything, like you get a little bit of a tradition going and maybe enthusiasm wanes. But then you go, well, we want to keep the thing alive, right? And then you get to a point where you can't live without it. Then it's, we've done 10 years. Like, we got to,
And we've made it really fun, and we've made it really emotional. I mean, I think anybody that rides on that day, on that Saturday, you're touched by the signs that you see, by the T-shirts people are wearing. I mean, if you can walk around and just observe people and not get sort of some tears in your eyes, you're sort of a cold person, because it's just so filled with emotion, because everybody is riding for someone or for some reason, because cancer touches all of us.
And now 30 years.
It's amazing.
I mean, you said after 5-6 years, you're like, this is a thing.
Yeah.
Now we're 30.
We're 30.
Have you been here for all of it?
No, I've been here. I've only been at Roswell for 23 years, and I've been at the ride.
You say only, by the way. 23. That's a long time.
But I've been at the ride for every year, and so I've seen it.
Yes.
And I've ridden. I've done things. I mean, we have this wonderful event on Friday night for cancer survivors, which is very emotion packed. But and I would say before COVID, COVID was tough because we had the ride, but you had to do it sort of by yourself, or you had to stay 5 feet away, if you can remember those days. Everybody forgets it, but there were times when we thought, I don't know, have we peaked? Is this not going to sort of sustain itself? But they reimagined it. They add rides into Canada over the Rainbow Bridge. Who wouldn't want to, as a cyclist, who wouldn't want to do something cool like that? And so we've been able to keep it fresh and alive. And the other thing is that this community, and you guys know this more than anyone, how supportive this community is, and how people just want to give and help. And so I think cancer touches all of us, and I think it really touches, this is a small thing people can do to really advance cancer research. And so I think, and 30 years later, here we are.
If I may, in 30 years, you think about that, you're crossing generations.
Very much so.
How many families you've seen?
Yes.
Kids a part of this.
Yes.
People who started it, and maybe unfortunately they themselves maybe were riders who then developed cancer.
Yes.
And they were riding for someone, now someone's riding for them. The technology that's changed over the years, the internet, the way that we can kind of talk to each other and promote this event. I think about all the different ways that this changed. How about for you? How impactful has it been, all these ways that it's changed, that you've seen this transform over 30 years?
It's sort of hard for me to put into words. I get very and maybe it sounds kind of sappy, but I get very emotional about the ride because it's so many people coming together for this institution. I mean, it has to sort of blow you away, and the fact that we've been able to sustain this. We have only 8,000 riders, but the reason for that is we're not allowed to have more for safety reasons. It's homeland security, it's all kinds of things that come into play. You have to be able, and we want to be able to protect our riders. Maybe if we had 15. We have 10,000 volunteers. Maybe if we had 15,000, we could have more riders because you want to make sure everybody's safe. Because there's so many people that want to ride in this race. It's wonderful.
It's awesome.
I hear you're a big sports fan.
I'm a huge sports fan. Listen to me. I know. I listen to you guys all the time. I graduated from the Ohio State University.
Yes.
National champs. Go Bucks.
Yeah, congratulations.
I grew up in Ohio. I was a big Browns fan. I suffered for that mightily. I moved to Denver and was advantaged to see the 4 Super Bowl wins with Elway there. And then I was in Pittsburgh for a while, and you have to be a Steelers fan because it's the Steelers. And now I move here, and I'm like crazy now about the Bills.
So great.
That's a pretty good tour you've taken.
I have.
Ohio State. You hear about Ohio State with basketball? I heard this from Roto World.
No, what?
They were too good to qualify for the NIT. Like they were top 2. Why weren't they in the tournament then? But they were top 2 in the Big Ten.
Yeah, that didn't make any sense.
Heard that.
I know, I saw that too.
They were like
look at that.
too good for the NIT. I heard Pat Doherty talking about it on Roto World. I haven't looked it up either, but I love it. Yeah, but that's my mom's home, Southern Ohio. So I'm into all that. And you have some mock draft insight here, Sal. Sal and I were trying to guess the schedule.
Where are the Bills going to draft?
I don't know.
There you go.
I don't know. We need.
It's but this isn't it
a corner.
A corner.
There you go. See,
she knows.
Doc knows. All right. So, this town. We are the lifeblood is so much about sports.
So much.
I mean, in Roswell's been really intertwined with the Bills and the Sabres over the years. What have those partnerships and relationships meant to you guys?
They're huge. The Sabres. It's a way for us. I mean, people connect with their sports teams, and they listen.
Yeah.
I mean, the wonderfulness of you guys, the men of WGR, is that they listen to you, and when you start talking about getting screened for colorectal cancer, I don't know, maybe I should, hey, honey, maybe I should make an appointment. I'm telling you, it really works. And so those partnerships enable us to get the word out about education, about screening, about, all the things they need to know to keep themselves healthy and cancer-free. And so they're hugely important. And so we we talk about those relationships, and I think they've really made a huge difference in our ability to get the message out.
Even in a few cases, hosting shows from screening events, to call it that.
Yeah.
You've got a few hundred people in here tonight.
Yeah, I know, it's great.
For the kickoff event. Sal has had trouble with the term kickoff.
I said, you know what? I said, but for football we use kickoff.
Yeah.
For basketball we use tip-off. The hockey, the puck drops. So I threw it out to our listeners. I said, and somebody said a rollout.
Could be a rollout.
It's a rollout, right?
Yeah,
so it's great.
These are
it's
bicycles.
a bike, right?
Yeah.
So that's the way we can call it that.
It's a rollout.
It's a rollout party.
Whatever you want, we'll do.
Yeah, no, that sounds like
it's
a
great.
good plan.
You guys have great food here.
Yeah.
Great people. And
a bar.
A bar?
You got a bar
Always
over there?
important.
So I went over before. I asked somebody. I said, "Yeah, I need a drink." And they said, "Well, what do you want? Some wine?" I said, "Well, I'm on the air. I don't think anybody like me actually drinking while I'm working, Mike. But who knows, right?" So I didn't do that yet.
I'll have some wine, but I need it in this Sprite can.
Yeah.
There you go.
Then it's our secret. Dr. Johnson, congratulations on everything.
Thank you so much.
It's a wonderful
Thank you
spirit
very
here.
much. Thank you.
It's always inspiring.
Love you. We
to
love
come
you
to
guys. And, I listen to you all the time. Go check my car. It's tuned to your radio
I
station.
would not question that, and I'm appreciative, and I want you to let me know when something bothers you.
I will do that.
That's our lifeblood.
Okay.
We get told all the time on
Controversy.
social media how you guys are idiots. Don't be afraid to text us and say you guys are idiots. Don't worry about that.
Is he saying that for effect, or does he actually mean that? What is this today? Thanks again, Dr.
Thank
Johnson.
you very much.
You got it.
Thank you for being here.
Thank
Dr.
you.
Candace
right.
Johnson here at Roswell
Thank you.
Park. We'll have more after a break. Mike Schopp with Sal Capaccio. This is WGR. Welcome back to Roswell Park, the Ride for Roswell kickoff event. Sal Capaccio here with me, Mike Schopp today. Bulldog is off through Monday. Tomorrow, opening day. Maybe there'll be some more football news, and if there's not, we'll make some. Mock drafts, rumors, schedule speculation, and I guess Zach knew that the Chargers play on Friday night,
Thank
week
you,
1.
Zach. We haven't heard from Zach today. I haven't even heard Zach's voice on the air. So thank you, Zach, for texting me. Zach said the Chargers do play in Brazil week 1 at home. So the Bills won't be that team. They're not playing the Chargers this year.
Correct.
But that is one of your primetime week 1 games. Chargers in Brazil. Home team in Brazil week 1 Friday night.
Well, we can put somebody there.
We could. Who are the Chargers away opponents? Or home opponents, I'm sorry.
Won't be Philadelphia.
Nope.
Houston, Indianapolis, Pittsburgh, Washington, Minnesota. Brazil? We're going to Brazil again?
Yeah.
And the division opponents. I was like a Raider-Charger
Me too.
night game.
I was thinking Raiders.
Raiders are interesting now.
But division? I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, they're going to be interesting now. I don't know about good.
But would they put a division game there? I don't think they. I don't know.
I don't know why not.
Because I think the teams would say, "Why are you?" Like I guess the teams wouldn't have much of a say over it, but it's it's kind of a thing to not outsource a division game to an international country.
Okay.
Because it's such a big deal for the team to have a division game at home.
Texans is a playoff rematch.
Yeah. Yep. I think Minnesota would be at play here.
Minnesota at the Chargers. They've never met. There's never been a game between the Chargers and the Vikings.
Could you think of anything that's ever happened between a Vikings-Chargers game?
Yes. The last time they played, I believe, was amazing. There was a controversy. It was Brandon Staley in 4th down. And he went deep in his own end. He went for 4th down. This is before he got converted the other way. And they got stopped, but they won anyway. 39-38. Some game like that.
I remember the incident.
That was a Chargers-Vikings game. From, I guess it would be 4 years ago, 2021.
It's a good memory. They played the exact team. I knew the situation.
I'm not sure any of it's right, but I made it sound like it might be right, hopefully. Stephon Diggs to New England. Like I said, we talked about it off the air for a minute. You can't say he didn't win here. I mean, it's the Patriots, and maybe they're not going to be good again. But he got money.
Yeah.
It's term if both sides want that. And it's, a team that he should have a massive target share if he's healthy.
So he gets a 3-year deal, it's reported, up to close to $70 million, which sounds like a lot of money, but when you look at the guaranteed money, which is less than 30, feels to me like it's going to wind up being hey, we got him for a year, we're going to see what he is, and we can hold on to him after that, or we can kind of cut some ties and take on some dead money. So that's probably what it is. Good for him. You're 100% right. He won here, Mike. I do question what the player is anymore, though. I think even at the end of his career in Buffalo, he was kind of on the downside. We saw he didn't really have as much separation. He was playing well in Houston. He wasn't putting up incredibly gaudy numbers, but he was a real nice contributor for them. And then he had the injury. And for a player like that at his age with that type of injury, I just don't know what you can expect from him going forward.
Yeah, I mean, that's fair. I guess we find out. There's really no way to predict that. Is there a chance he would play week 1? When I saw the news last night, I tweeted, hey, Bills versus Diggs, Mac Hollins, Travis Hunter, and the Patriots week 1. Who says no?
I'm here for it.
A few people said, well, Diggs won't be ready. I don't know. That's not a lock to me that he won't be ready. He was injured in October, I think.
Right. I think, you're
it's
talking.
Not Achilles.
No, you're talking 11 months.
I could see it.
Yeah, I could see it too. I think that's a nice matchup for week 1 if the Bills get it.
Me too.
That's a good week 1 matchup.
And you could put that game at night in New England.
Ooh. Yeah, you could. Monday night?
Yeah.
It'd have to be a Monday night game.
I think so. It's another division game.
Good enough for Sunday night.
We've had Bills-Jets, primetime, Bills-Dolphins on the road. It's the last time a division home game was at night.
Division home game.
Not including playoffs.
Would it be Thursday night home game against the Jets, Rex Ryan?
Does it go back that far? I mean, there's several away. Half dozen or so, a few away.
Yeah.
But
I think we might have to go to that.
Before McDermott.
No. It's Josh's rookie year. He gets hurt. The Patriots come to town, and Derek Anderson starts.
Okay, right. That's right. 18.
Unless you want to go, no? How about this? Saturday night, Miami Dolphins. They were here on a Saturday night.
That's right, too.
Bills win the division.
Never mind. That's right, too.
Now you're making me think. Saturday night, that's right.
Yep.
It was a Saturday night game against the Dolphins.
One of us has to do the thinking. Next, we'll talk to Andrea Gregory, the director of the race here, the Ride for Roswell kickoff party today. Mike Schopp with Sal Capaccio. This is WGR.
Call
More private workouts for Miami Hurricanes quarterback Cam Ward. Yesterday, it was with the Tennessee Titans, who hold the number 1 overall pick. Today, reportedly, it is the Cleveland Browns, who hold the number 2 overall pick. The Titans, though, did add a quarterback today, that being Tim Boyle. Next week, it is the NFL owners' meetings, and the NFL Competition Committee announced today a number of proposed rule changes that will be up for vote next Tuesday. Those do include some taking part with the kickoff, including a touchback, moving back to the 35-yard line instead of the 30, and onside kicks can happen at any time if a team is trailing. Again, those are proposals, and among others, they will be voted on next Tuesday. For the Sabres, they are off today after getting a win yesterday against Ottawa. That win marking head coach Lindy Ruff's 600th of his career. Again, tomorrow they will be in action at home against Pittsburgh. That's your Paddock Chevrolet Sports Update. Paddock Chevrolet celebrating 90 years of business. I'm Zach Jones for WGR Sports Radio 550.
Class candy.
It's Mike Schopp and the Bulldog.
Oh,
There's a
you don't
fantasy
understand why a
team
candy that is basically toothpaste wrapped up in stale chocolate is treated like a second-class candy. All right, I get it. It's a good, valid question.
It's Mike Schopp and the Bulldog.
Is there a time to change? You know, the 3 teams I've drafted this year, second-class candy is pretty good.
On WGR Sports Radio 550.
Welcome back to Roswell Park, the Ride for Roswell kickoff event. Mike Schopp here with Sal Capaccio today, and we are joined by Andrea Gregory, the director of the race. It's a nice title. It's a big title.
Got a big team.
It's a big team.
That does a lot of work.
It's a big event, and even today is a big event.
It is.
A lot went into this, I bet.
Oh, yeah. This is kind of our start of the season kind of for us, and we have probably 300 to 400 people here at Roswell tonight getting ready and gearing up for this year's event.
How do they do that? What do they do today to get started?
Yeah, so it's actually the middle of what we call Spirit Week. So we've had lots of different things going on. It started on Monday this week. We had a Meet Your Minimum matching gift courtesy of West Her. We had a big team contest yesterday that we started. And then today we talked a lot about where the funds go because it's so important to understand why we're raising the money that we are. And so our kickoff event is kind of a combination of 2 things. It's a great opportunity for our people to come out and see each other because it is that. It's a community of people, a community of supporters, and so it's really fun for all of us, for all of the riders to come out and see each other because we haven't seen each other a lot in a while. And so we have different fundraising tools here. We've got different information about what's called our Celebration of Hope, which is our Friday evening celebration. There's some of those details here. But the really cool thing that we started last year is we allow our fundraisers to go out on tours. So we had over 100 people go out on our first tour group, and we've got another tour group going out in a little bit. And they're visiting places that we're funding. So the money they're raising is directly impacting research, clinical trials. It's helping quality of life programs. And so our fundraisers out there right now learning about what the difference their money makes. And that's so important because it really inspires people to do more, right? It encourages them to raise even more and to really understand so that when they're asking for those donations, because we all know it's not easy to ask for money, they really know and feel empowered to where it's going. So it's a really great night for us.
And what is the I guess realization of the answer to that question where it's going? You can't necessarily go line by line for me,
right.
But I mean, if you can get us a general overview of what happens when people are donating and where this money goes.
Yeah, absolutely. So we always talk about kind of 2 different things. So it helps research. Mm-hmm. So it's helping the patients of tomorrow, right? Research, clinical trials, those who are currently going through it. And then it helps quality of life programs. So that's a lot of the patients that we currently have. So to just kind of give some detail around all of that, in a given year, we fund about 50 quality of life programs. And there's over 40,000 patients that come through Roswell Park's doors in a given year. So there's lots of different ways that we help. We have our 11-day Power Play Cancer Resource Center here. We have our newer CAP Elevate Salon. We have a nursing center of excellence that trains our nurses. We've got pediatric programs that are funded. All of these different things are helping current patients. And so those are a couple of the places that our riders are out currently visiting. And then on the research and clinical trials side of things, we are funding current clinical clinical trials, right? That is the research that's been taken from the bench in the laboratory and is now at a point where patients can have access to these new cutting-edge trials. And so they're visiting our cell therapy lab right now and learning about CAR T-cell therapy, which is really cutting edge. And we just had a huge build out that has these clean rooms.
I toured it.
Amazing, right?
It was unbelievable.
Oh my gosh, it was.
I went into these things are incredible. And what I learned about the history of them and how it came about here and what you have here compared to everywhere else is absolutely amazing.
It is. So we now have 20 of those rooms. It's like the largest in the country outside of an academic space. And they really are taking what I said from the bench in the labs to being able to take these cutting-edge treatments for patients. We've got, they're out visiting our Cervax-M lab, which is our brain cancer vaccine. That brain cancer vaccine started as a seed grant. So we have what's called the Scientific Advisory Committee, and it's a group that meet twice a year, and it's funding from the Alliance Foundation, so funding from our riders that is helping what are called seed ideas get off the ground. So it's an idea that can't necessarily be funded by the National Institute of Health yet, but it's these ideas to take that idea and grow it so that we can get dollars elsewhere. And so for every dollar that we put into this Scientific Advisory Committee, it multiplies by 23, which is unbelievable. And so Cervax-M is actually one of those examples of something that started with seed funding from the ride many, many years ago and is now in a phase 2 clinical trial helping patients with glioblastoma. So there's just, it translates in so many ways, and it's not just helping patients here, but it's really helping patients across the country and around the world.
Amazing.
So it's unbelievable.
Dr. Candace Johnson earlier told us there's a limit as to how many riders are allowed to ride because of, laws and whatever. So right now people are listening to us, rideforroswell.org. Donations, of course. Volunteers, is there room?
Oh, we have room for lots of things right now. So we have plenty of space for our riders.
Okay.
Our ride is from 4 miles up to 100. So we've got lots of different varieties for people that are riding with their kids, or they're riding with, loved ones, or they're serious, intense cyclists. We have something for everyone, really. So we've got it from like our youth, our recreational riders, all the way up to our endurance riders. We do have volunteers. We're always looking for volunteers, not only throughout the week, but all through the weekend. And all of that can be found at rideforroswell.org. This year, our riders are all asked, if you're 16 and older, there's no registration fee, but we are asking everyone to raise at least $200, which is very doable. And we're giving out some great resources tonight, and we've got lots of tips on our website. But we're asking everyone to do that to really help. We're reaching for a $6 million goal this year because, as I talked about, all the things need funding, and it's so important for us to continue to push to end cancer, and this event is one of the ways we can do that.
Like Sal alluded to, and you said how the tours really do bring it to light.
Yeah.
I mean, I certainly can appreciate the incredible expertise and talent of the doctors, the huge staff here, but to go into the different rooms and hear the explanation of how they came up with different treatments was really, really awesome.
It's fascinating. And
well, it's our honor to be a part of it.
Thank you,
Andrea, and go get on that tour, right? Are you the tour guide?
I'm helping getting them all out, so.
Okay. We can't keep you any longer. So
thank you again.
Thanks for having me, and thanks for all of you guys, for everyone at your stations for helping with the ride this year.
You got it. We're looking forward to it.
Great.
Sorry that Bulldog isn't here, the captain of our team, but we'll send along your best to him. Thanks, Andrea. So, more loose ends. Justin Herbert.
Yes.
I had the score wrong. I had a different game.
Okay.
But, yes, against Minnesota.
Okay.
Possible week 1 Brazil tilt.
Sure. I think so.
40 for 47.
Amazing.
For 403 and 3.
Touchdowns.
Not bad.
Yep.
And a win. Not one of these garbage time deals.
And then Mike gave me that stat, and I went and put it in a query at StatHead. And I said, has anyone ever had 40 or more completions on 47 or less attempts? Nope. He's the only one.
Nobody's ever had that game
Nope.
other than Justin Herbert
That's right.
in Minnesota. What's Josh Allen's best game for you?
Josh Allen's best game is, I think, Miami of 2020. third game of the year, second game of the year, breaks out.
Good call.
Well over 400 yards, 450 maybe.
24 for
428.
24 for 35, 415 and 4.
Yeah.
And maybe rushing too. There's always that.
I mean, I have to go back and look at other stat lines, but to me, if you that stands out immediately.
We were doing this last week, going through his game logs.
Mm-hmm.
Remember the Houston game last year? I think he went 9 for 30.
It was a bad game.
And there was the Dallas game that they won when Cook went off, where I think he went for 74 yards. Couple games in his career, even post-rookie season, where the numbers – this was a lot last year, actually, relatively speaking, for him. Like the big blow-up passing games were just really not there for the Bills last year, one or two. The game that sort of topped the list when we talked about this last was the Seattle game in COVID.
Oh.
31 for 38.
He was great in that game.
415 and 3, so almost the Herbert game.
I think that was the weekend after his grandma had passed away.
Oh, okay.
And he remember he was pointing up, and there was a story of that, obviously, and that's what happened with how the Patricia Allen Fund came about as well, by the way, speaking of all this.
Right. And then San Francisco, a month later almost, in Arizona.
Now, that was prime time against Robert Saleh's defense, and that was that throw that he made that everybody talked about right over the top of the linebacker. Maybe it was Greenlaw. I couldn't remember.
Yeah.
Went right over top of him. Everybody talked about that. There was also that Rams game. They blew it, the lead, and they came back and won. But that year he had a great game, too, that COVID year.
That's the year
right?
for, yes, four passing touchdowns in that game. Lee Smith.
What was he against the Raiders that year in Vegas?
24, 34, 288, and 2.
Okay. Less than 300,
the COVID year, those of us who live for passing stats got spoiled because the numbers shot up with no fans. San Francisco, 32 for 40, 375 and 4. That game in Arizona. Denver, man, 2020. Who was the MVP that year? Oh, Rodgers would have been. Look at that season he had in 2020.
I mean, that Denver
insane.
game, they win the division, and that's when they clinch the division for the first time in long time and take it away from the Patriots. But that game, to me, even though Josh had great numbers, that game to me remembered for Jerry Hughes' fumble return, for Jake Kumaro catching the pass from Allen.
Singletary busted one.
Yeah, Singletary busted one for a long one. Yep.
Denver. Just had a thought about this. 2020, this was it. So, just the arrival, right? Like this is real. 2019, they're in the playoffs. Deep passes to fullbacks, laterals.
Yeah.
Who knows? 2020, right, this is real. And they have that season regular season, capped by that Dolphin game that the Dolphins need, and the Bills win by 30 when they don't need it.
Yep.
Like you have just like a perfect year.
Isaiah McKenzie with like 3 touchdowns. Right.
Right. Then you have the Colts game in the playoffs, which was tight. Davis bailed him out a little bit in that Colts game.
Yep.
Then it's Taron Johnson and the Ravens. And then it's Kansas City, Sal. And I've said many times, I'm not sure if we've talked about it much. We would have at the time, but it always just has not made sense to me how the Bills were so outplayed that night in Kansas City. The 2020 AFC Championship. I loved them in that game. I thought, yes. I mean, it was just going.
And they had a lead,
9-0.
Yeah.
They had a 9-0 lead, and I'm like, this is happening. Now, Kansas City got blown out in that Super Bowl by Tampa after that win. But I don't know. Do you have memories of that night?
I'm the opposite on that one.
Are you?
I just don't think the Bills were ready yet. And, I mean, I know they made a couple plays. I mean, I don't know if Lamar Jackson was ready yet to win a game like that. He didn't have a great game. The Bills knocked him out of that game. But I always look back at that game as, they just weren't ready for that setting yet. They weren't quite there.
I guess.
And the Patriots, and the Chiefs already were.
The Chiefs had been.
Yeah.
They were the defending champs, I would think, right? They would have beaten San Francisco the first time.
Yeah.
Before that, experience. I mean, the Bills.
Mahomes had been an MVP.
Yeah. The Bills were just not having bad days that year. And They were up 9-0, and then they were down 38-15. Like, it just went so south on them. One takeaway from that game were the 2 short field goals they opted for.
Yes.
And, can't have that.
That was a kind of a defining moment for McDermott, because since that game is when he started to be more aggressive. And especially specifically the next year in Kansas City, they go for a 4th down early in the game to score a touchdown.
First drive?
Yep, first drive. But since that game, even more so over the last couple of years, he's become a much more aggressive coach on 4th down.
Yeah, that's, I suppose. Well, that's definitely right.
Yeah.
I wouldn't have thought to trace it to that, but it was definitely a takeaway from that game. Is guys, these 20-yard field goals are not gonna cut it. Well, he still gets, I think of you bringing this up a lot, maybe on Extra Point. Like he still gets the grief, McDermott, for these losses, because they just have not gotten it done on defense in any of these games that they've lost in the playoffs. And for years, of course, with that, we get into these conversations about, well, if you don't want to make a coaching change, that's fine. You're in the playoffs every year, win the division every year. But so when will you want to, if ever? Like, when will you want to? And I always said, this is last year, I would have said, and before that, you tell me they're going to have the same season, I'm not going to be sitting here thinking they need to fire Sean McDermott. Like, if you tell me they win 13 games and go to the AFC Championship, I just can't believe. I mean, I follow the Sabres. I do not expect to arrive at that place. This year, I think I'm, all right, one more.
Interesting.
I think I'm one more, because their defense has so failed them.
No matter how it goes, what if it's the offense that fails them?
If it's the same,
right,
I'm giving myself that out.
Yeah, I got you.
Where if they go to,
it
doesn't have to be the Chiefs. Bengals, if they go somewhere in the playoffs or home, I mean, the game at home, they gave up 9 yards of play. So I have a playoff loss where I get 30 points put on me again by, in this case, a Chiefs offense that couldn't score all year. Like, I don't know. That to me is kind of it. If I had an offensive coach and I got to the playoffs every year, and then after 5 or 6 of these I couldn't score, then you have that. But instead it would be this. So I think I'm at one more.
There is a segment of fans for sure that no matter how successful, how many wins they have, how many division titles they win, how many playoff games they win, if they don't get to a Super Bowl, it's just open season on McDermott, regardless of how that happens. There is definitely a segment of fans like that. That's what I push back on, which is I think it's an unrealistic expectation to think that, you're just an automatic that because you have Josh Allen and you've been down this road that you should be at and win Super Bowls, because it's very hard to do that. And you can have a bad day. You can have bad ball bounce not go your way, whatever it is. So I think that's unrealistic. I understand, though, and respect the point, just as you have made here, that the defense has been pretty much the feeling point at the end of the season games over the last 4 or 5 years.
Yeah, and it seemed like last year we were talking about how that was sort of sticking to Allen a little bit, and we all just went, well, let's see proof of that. I mean, in these playoff games, he's had some great days, or at least good days, not bad days, in their losses. What does it do for you? I brought this up yesterday in terms of the Bills, that Kansas City got blown out.
Nothing, because I don't think anyone was beating the Eagles that day. The Eagles were a wagon. They were good, real good. They have really constructed their roster terrifically, and they played and coached really good football. And that day specifically, no one was beating them.
No one was beating them, okay. The Bills aren't losing by 30 to anybody, I would say.
Do I think the Bills would have given them a better game than the Chiefs? I tend to think that, yes.
Anybody would have, right?
Yeah.
I mean, just
I tend to think that.
The Chiefs came off so due to lose. They were so due for that, which makes all the season that happened so frustrating. Like, how much more could you have asked from the Bills last year? 13 wins. I mean, you don't even need Week 18, right? Neither did Kansas City.
Right.
And Kansas City ran so pure in close games that wasn't even, with a head-to-head win, that wasn't enough for home field.
I listened to AFC Reverse Power Rankings with you and Joe yesterday, and I think Joe's right. When you look at Kansas City, I think that personnel-wise, they're not as good. They've lost personnel. They lost Justin Reed. They lost Nadi. They've lost players. Tooney. Yes, they traded Tooney. Their offensive line is still a very big question mark going into next year. We still don't know what Rashee Rice is going to be coming back from the injury, but we'll see. I agree with what Joe said in the power rankings. But at the end of the year, how can I sit here now and count them out because of what you said, which is look how good they are every year at the end of the year. I get it. But as I sit here right now, like the Chiefs to me are just not as good personnel-wise.
They're not as good personnel-wise. You know, we go back and forth on the Bills for this, too. Last year it was they're not as good personnel-wise, right? I mean, they moved on from some important players. But what you had, not knowing what certain things were going to look like, wide receiver, safety, what you had was, Allen.
Yeah.
13 wins. And that's how I would look at the Chiefs.
Exactly.
You know?
Yeah.
Mahomes. Okay.
That's how you should look at the Bengals, but it didn't work out for them like that.
What I want to see from Kansas City or about them is what happens, if anything, with Rice and what happens, if anything, with Worthy. Even Worthy could still get dinged, even though he didn't have charges pressed against him. Vaughn, that can happen.
Usually it's a year later, though, when that happens anyway.
And that's where we are with
Rice. Exactly right.
And they're keeping Hollywood Brown. If they have them all, Kelsey's going to play. If they have them all, that's pretty daunting, I think. Mm-hmm. We'll see about up front. But they may not have them all. So,
and I'm not convinced that Travis Kelce is a huge difference maker at this point. He can be in any one given game.
Right.
I just don't think for a season long he is.
Spots, you know.
Yeah.
Still somebody that you got to take seriously, no matter how much he might have slowed down. All right, from the Ride for Roswell kickoff event, rideforroswell.org, we're going to bring you our chat with, part of it anyway, with Chris Trapasso. He was on with us for an hour. If you missed that, you can check it out at the Odyssey app, and we'll have the first half or so of that here coming up. Mike Schopp with Sal Capaccio from Roswell Park. This is WGR.
Never miss a second